Welcome back. Now that we're armed with the ability to be able to resize and crop images, we can now enter our slider and actually go in here and update it with what we need. So I think we should have been in this section here. This is the section where we figured out what the size that we needed, this grid layer size for the biggest one. So in here, this is where we're going to do it. So if you're not already here, make sure you've gone down to slider revolution and you've selected the slider, which was, I think it was our home slider. Okay, so we should be in here, and this is the slide we're editing right here. It is this one here, and it's going to change. Now we had colored, that's what it was before. But we're going to be changing that. Like if I change this color, I can change it to green. It's going to change it down here, and that was that stripe. What it is the whole background is green, but because this little section here, this is a image actually. This is an element here, and there's an image here which is a big triangle, and then it's transparent. It's showing the green through that transparent part. But we're going to actually do this. We're going to go to the background image. And we're going to open up our media library, and we're going to drag our new banners that we had made into here. So I'm going to drag both in there. Okay, and we're going to start with this other one first and see how it looks. It's kind of dark, so so here you can kind of see it in the background here because we got other stuff that's covering over, but that's fine. We can get rid of that other stuff. Okay, so we've done that. That was the main background, okay? And we can look through here. There's a whole bunch of options that we have, like that you can do from here. And I think it would be very exhausting to go through all of this, but we're gonna just edit the slide as it exists. Now, if you're really keen, there's lots of other things that you can get on how to do the slides. Don't worry about it so much. Now there are a couple of cool things here is if like you go down here, you can't see it, maybe we'll have to come back to it, but you can actually make some sort of a camera filter happen on the image that you have on your site. So you can actually have that. You can also have what's called a parallax 3D, and that when you scroll, what it does is it makes it look like it's moving, like it's actually you can look at it from different angles, but really it's just moving the picture and things like that. But we're going to be editing the way it is. The other one is some general settings here. The delay, this is how long it takes before it gets from one slide to another slide, etc. And so you can see that there's a bunch of stuff here, but we'll be touching those as we edit it. Down here is when I click on an element like this element here, this sort of side stripe thing is I can click on that and I can change stuff about it. It's animation. So as you can see how it did that? Now it's animating because I've actually clicked on animation. And so I can do that for any element that exists, but I'm actually deleting this element. So what I'm going to do is go back. I didn't want to have that on there. If I go all the way down to the bottom, you can see how when I click on stuff, it's actually changing stuff on here that it's clicking on. So, and I'm hovering my mouse over this, like this person. You see that? That person is this red one here, this main, right? And that's maybe what I'm gonna do later for when we get maybe a product or something in there. So I'm gonna start deleting stuff out of here I don't need. I just want my background for now. So it says I just click the delete button. It asks me if I want to delete the layer. Sure. How about this? Delete that layer? Sure. Okay, we're gonna delete all of these layers. Okay, there's some person over here off to the side. Okay, and that. So now it's just my background here, which again, it's kind of pixelated. I'm not too happy with it. I might end up changing that for an image that's a little less pixelated, but let's see how it looks on our site. Okay, and so what you can do, oh, there's another one over here. Look at these hidden stuff everywhere. All right, let's see it. Now there's a draggy thing over here that you can drag, and a scroll thing. Click and delete all these other elements here. All right, so there we go. That's the full screen now. It's sitting here, this love the colors things. Now that I've done it, okay, I can save this slide. So I'm gonna go ahead and let me just, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna actually do, actually, yeah, we'll save it. Okay, let's just do that. That's fine. Okay, let's go look over here at our site, see how it looks. So it looks like I missed deleting this part here. So we can see how this is moving. It's nicely animated, right? And so there we go. So we have that. We're coming down into the website, and it's already looking like 10 times more. Now, there's obviously another slide here that I have to work with. There's 2 slides, but we can see that we have so much more to work with here, and we can make it our own. So let's go back to the slider here and find that funny little side thing that's floating. And let me see here, red line left. Okay, it's probably this one. So I can actually click on this one and delete it from here. It says delete that layer. Okay, and I'm gonna go up and save it again. So this is how you do sort of just trial and error. Okay, and click on here and hit F5 to refresh and see if we get rid of this red line off to the side. There. So now we have something a little bit more towards our site instead of something that was from that theme, right? I kind of like how this floats, so I'm probably going to keep this in the middle. I'm going to keep that now. What's cool is if you really want to promote something, I mean, this is a good way to do it. So yeah, so far so good. I'm liking that. So now we can go here and we can actually edit the text that's in here. We can also add text. We can add text, a shape. Now those triangular things that we had in there, they were shapes. I mean, that's all they were. So you can add shapes in here and all kinds of cool stuff. By just clicking, you can click on this object library, and this will actually bring you to their site, and they have all kinds of objects that you can bring in. Or, I don't know, so let's click back on here again to our slide. Make sure we've selected the slide. You can do that, or you can just add. So if I wanted to say add some text, I can say, you know, we'll call this, okay, new text here, and that will have added, where did it add? Okay, up in the corner. So it added up here. Now I can click on this text, this bounding box that it's in, I can drag it if I want to, but if I wanted to change its attributes, I have to do it up here in the style section. So I can do like say 50 pixels, that makes it bigger. What if I want to change the text font, right? So I can go here. Now, if I was doing that, that other font that we were using earlier, which was Lato, but I don't see it in here. So let me just see if, oh yeah, it's up at the top here. So loaded Google fonts. So that's why I couldn't find it. So I can change it to Lato. That was the text that we're using before. And I could also change its color. Let's say, you know, I wanted to make it a hot red or maybe off-white. You can do that, right? So obviously you'd be cognizant about the background that it's on, so it's easy to see. And so in this case, I'd definitely be using a white text for this. And that's why the header on our website is white, because we're using dark backgrounds. But we can always have on each individual page it override the text color of your menus and things like that. Okay, so that's how you do it with the text. Now I have the text here, and if I was to want to do something with it, you can see it's highlighted down here below. This is this new text here, so I can see what it is, and I can click edit. So that will, I think it highlights the field that we're working with. If I need to change it, I go up here and I can change the text, or click this edit button. Okay. Now if I go down here and click off of that, make sure I've highlighted the layer, I could go down here and make sure it's selected, and I can change when it's going to appear. So let's say, you know, I want it to appear after this element comes in. So when it loads, all these things are appearing really fast. So it's going to wait a bit, and all of a sudden stuff would start to appear and animate, which is nice. And to see how we want it to animate, we would go up here and click on animation, right? And we would say, hey, do you want to rotate from bottom? So that, see how it just came up like that? And that's how you would rotate it. And then of course, how would you want it to leave? Do you want it to bounce out after? See? And it does that now. I know the bounding area here is kind of small, but that's an example of how you can animate things. Now, it does it according to this timeline here, and you can click and drag stuff. Now, you can also click and drag these elements above each other as well, which changes the order that they're in there. So, okay. So that's how you do it, and that's an example of how you would add new text to that. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that layer. Now, I liked how this worked. I really liked how these things worked. I'm not animating it, so we're just clicking out of that. Now, this had some features where when I moved my mouse around, it did some nice movements there. So I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to say something nice and catchy for our website. Okay, so I've done this. So, you know, I've changed this tackle master supplies, which I think I spelt wrong. No, I spelt it right. And it's catch today, hooks by fishermen. So that's kind of nice. Now I have some buttons down here, and I can move these buttons around. I'm not going to bother moving them around too much because I think it's already in a nice spot. So you know, you can click on this one and we can change its attributes. The way we do that is we just, not attributes, as actions. So we want to change its actions. So when you click on it, it's just a simple link. It's going to go somewhere. So we want to have it go to, say, maybe the category link to your hook. So so we can go like this, .com / hooks, or I think it's actually product category / hooks, like that. So okay, and then what I want to do is make sure I have that text. So right now it says view price. I'm going to change that to there, like that. Oh, still didn't change. Okay, so actually, sorry, I changed the name of it up here, but you got to change this here. So I would say view hooks, right? Or you can read more, and maybe you want to create a page specifically all about the hooks and the process that might go into making them, or whatever you want to do there. So you know, that's what you could do this. And again, it's the same thing here. You know, you can see the link. I'd have to change the link to let's say that page. And so if I was going to create that page, I would just make sure I create it right after making it here, right? And I would say, you know, how it's made or something like that, right? And then so, and make sure when you're creating links, it has these dashes. So of course I would create a new page using up here in pages, add new, and I would add a new page called how it's made. So now I'm going to keep that. I'm actually going to do that now to make sure. So I right clicked and opened in a new window, and I'm going to type in how it's made. Okay, publish. So I'll know now to go back and actually update that page later. And I've already linked it here, right? So so that's it. Now, if I want to change the timeline and how things are coming in, I have the option to do that. I'm not going to mess around with it too much because I think it already looks great. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to just check it out on my website now. So let's refresh. I'm going to go here and hit F5. All right, so we're going to wait a few seconds, and there it is. See? There we go. Now that looks awesome. Now the other thing I wanted to do is I'm going to create something to come in, like say a product that I want to come in, like a hook. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to get a hook and it's going to come in. Maybe I'll have it coming in on this side so it doesn't block the people over here, which looks nice. So I'm going to get a picture of my product here, and I'm going to go from there. So for demonstration purposes, I've sourced a couple of flies for fly fishing, so that we can actually put that in our slide. So I'm going to go back to our slide, okay, and make sure that we're on it, and we're going to actually incorporate that into our slider and actually have it come in animated as well. And then we're going to also set it when it comes in on here. So let's go add a layer, and we're going to click image, okay? And I'm going to actually click and drag these new fishing hooks into the. Now both of these are PNG files. That means that they have transparent backgrounds. That's why it's kind of showing gray here, and they are PNGs. So they're both transparent. They're small size. Works great. So I'm going to insert. Let's insert this one. I like it because it has little wings in it. So we can see it up here. You know, maybe the source image wasn't that great because it's not so. It didn't. You know, just the resolution of it isn't that good. But for demonstration purposes, I think it'll do just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the spot where I want it to end up. So maybe somewhere like here. And so now it's here. If I've got it highlighted, it's red here. So this hook, maybe it's going to come in right after everything else, and we need it to stay. When it says wait, it's going to stay there. Okay, now I'm going to go up to the animation, and instead of fading in, I think what we can do is having it fly in. So let's see if I can find a good one. So I found this one, long from bottom, so it's coming from the side here. And what I can do is actually slow down the speed of this. So I think let's see what happens when we put 800 there. See, now it's slowed it down quite a bit. So it's taking 800 milliseconds for it to get to its location. So let's try 1200, nice and slow. Let's try that. There, see? So it doesn't look like it's like, boo, you know, it's just coming in nice, okay? And we don't necessarily need a out animation because it's gonna go to the next slide, right? If you wanted to come out before the slide ends, you just pull this in, and then we go and so make sure you have that selected. Now you want another one. So let's say we want it to go long to bottom or short to bottom. Let's say long to bottom, right? And let's say we want that one to take 800 milliseconds to get to the bottom of the screen. So there you go. And then when it's done, it's just going to drop down. All right, so let's save it and see what that looks like. Go to our front page and refresh. So there we go. We're going to wait for that to come in. And see, it's kind of small, right? I mean, I've got a big screen, so maybe we need to make it a little bit bigger. So we can do that. Now the source image is pretty small, so we could go into GIMP and resize it. Now that's a bad idea. I mean, especially if it's your product. You want to make sure if it's your product, take high quality pictures of your product and put it in here at the size that you want it to be at, making sure it's 72 dpi. But, you know, in this view, you know, maybe it's 400 by 400 pixels or something like that. So it comes in a lot bigger. So it's something around this size versus something that's like, you know, small. But for this purpose, what I'm going to see I can't do if I can actually resize this. And to do that, we just highlight it here. And we just click on this and hold down the shift button to make sure that you're resizing in exact proportions. So here we have it a lot bigger. I'm just going to go to the extreme and kind of bring it out here. Now you can see now that I'm making it so big, it's very pixelated. So this is a good example that I should have started with a big image. instead of resizing it like this, which, like I said, you don't want to do. So I'm going to move it over here so it's not covering over the text. And keep in mind, everything is a little rough. Like when you actually see it, it might not be in the exact same spot you put it here. So I just saved it. Now I'm going to go to the website and hit F5 to refresh. And let's see how that hook comes in now. So it's a little bit bigger. So that's more reasonable, right? I mean, obviously a hook isn't very small, but at least it gives us a good idea. So I think it came in too close to the words. So I can move it over here. Or, you know, I can go extreme and really bring out its size. So experimentation is always good. Okay, and I'm going to refresh that and make it look. So this is it, trial and error, just to see how good it looks. Okay, and there we go. There, boom. See, and there it comes. So that's a very bad quality image. I would not leave that in production. If I was to actually leave that into our main website, definitely not. So, and another thing I wouldn't do either is let the fish hook fly back out again. I would just put it back to here and be done with it. Okay, so +2, it says 800 here. We should probably put that back to its animation settings, and we're going to remove the animation, and no change here. So we're just going to do this, put it back to 300. That was the default. And okay, let's see if that changes anything. So it's back down to 300. I did want to get rid of the animation here, but okay. So let's save that, because it really should be automatically flowing to the next slide automatically for us. So it did there after a while. Okay, and here it comes. There it is. Okay, and it really should be just waiting for the next slide. And there you go. I moved to the next slide. You saw it drop when I moved it to the next slide. So it's just sort of automatic action. So there we go. We have our front page of our site. We have our product on here, nice and easy to see. You can even have, say, if you had a second one, you can have another one coming. This one came from the side. This one can come up from a bottom. Maybe you have another one over here. And yeah, so that is it for that slide. We have another slider, which is in the second page here, which we saw here when we clicked on this one, is this page. So again, every slide you need to update them. You may not want any more slides. Maybe you just want the one slide. If that's the case, then you would click on this slide and click delete if you only wanted the one slide. Or you can have multiple slides and keep adding more. But now I've selected this slide, I can edit this one now. So this one here had a transparent background and had this image here. So I've got a bunch of stuff that I'd like to do here. And so let's see, I'm gonna do a video speed up of editing this particular one. And so we can have that slide done. there we are. We've got both the sliders done. And if you noticed on the video, I had some issues when I was moving it over here. It was either up too high over here. And so I was trying to drag it over here and see how it looked, but I thought it was too close to this logo over here because we have it over here. So I decided to move it over here and make sure I spaced it out nice so that it shows up on this. And the other thing too on this side is all the elements come in great, which is good here. But what the big issue is here is when we go into the mobile mode, so this mode, it was all cramming down at the bottom. So what I did is I actually really like the fact that it just shows this nice picture here. It just looks so fresh, especially will look great like that on a phone. So since I have that, none of the elements are coming in. So this is what a mobile phone would look like. I thought I just replicated that on that side. So I just hid the elements on a mobile device. And I did that by just clicking on each of the elements and hiding which device the visibility would be on. So there's the visibility up on here on this, and then I just clicked it off there. So that's how I did that. And so there we go. Sliders are done. And so we're looking forward to seeing you on the next video when we finish off the rest of the pages. We're coming dangerously close to the end of this. And so good job for keeping up and keeping going at this. I'm excited to see how your first website looks like. And once you've done this once, easy to do it again and again and again.